Everyone, it's a privilege to be here to be able to present today. And I'm actually located in the United States in the great state of New Jersey. So why don't we go ahead and get started? I've got a lot of information I'd like to share with you. So who am I? So real quick, as Rebecca said, my name is Jeffrey Barbieri. I am the director for our technical account management team here at BlackStratus. I do hold certifications in security. As you can see, Computer Forensics Examiner, Computer Hacking Forensics Investigator, Board Certified in Cyber Intelligence. I do hold other certifications, again, in regards to security. I belong to a few associations. One of them I'm proud of is the High Technology Crime Investigation Association. Again, it's about sharing information, and that's what I enjoy doing. So again, I'm privileged to be here. So what are the challenges? So as you know, data breaches have become a common fact of life over the years, with regular news reports about incidences, with big retailers and banks and all those other well-known companies. And of course, most people only hear about these large breaches. However, companies across all industries and sizes continue to face persistent threats to, to their data from these hackers and malware and so forth. So today I want to discuss the security challenges that companies are facing, and then we're going to discuss TI, threat intelligence, and the types of methods and malware that are most relevant. And then we're going to move over into the phases of hacking that any good black hat needs to do in order to be successful. So we'll start off here. What are the challenges? And the obvious one across the board is always has been the lack of funds. And I say this because most companies don't even know where to put their money when it comes to security. Should they add that second layer of security or think about maybe data classification? Qualified staff is, of course, another issue. Security is such a vast field, and do you want to hire a forensics examiner? Do you want to hire a security analyst? So knowing the right qualifications, of course, here the question is. And then, of course, trying to convince upper management that the system does need update. It requires time, it requires resources, and downtime for maintenance. And then my last bullet here ties with the qualified staff who might need to spend time actually doing the research in the type of attacks that they fall under. So if you're in a specific vertical, if you're under healthcare or finance, there are different types of attacks for these different verticals, and knowing them can really make the difference between security and compromise. So I usually call those the future of unknowns. So we're going to jump into what is threat intelligence and why do we use it here at BlackStratus? Well, TI, it's evidence-based knowledge. It includes context, mechanisms, and indicators of compromise, IOCs, that can be used to inform decisions regarding the response to that alert. So what can we do with TI? Well, as you can see, we can track cyber criminals and hacktivists, and we can provide context to reconstruct attacks and proactively report new attacks, as well as validate and prioritize these alerts that come in. So some of the scenarios I want to share with you that companies use TI for, well, they come from antivirus products. They come from firewalls and IDS, IPS. Those are the intrusion detection, intrusion prevention systems. And here, as you can see, we use it in log collectors as well as our SIM product. SIM is our security information and event management tool. And how are we collecting threat intelligence information? Well, again, various ways. They include file hashes, command and control servers, those CNC servers, that are through domain names and IP addresses, the URL reputation, various antivirus detection, and mutex as well as file names. I won't go into mutex. It's just a program object that creates multiple program threads. And it's okay if you don't understand mutexing. So what I want to do is I want to mention a few methods of how hackers actually connect. And hackers, they're going to use various tools and methods to gain access, whether it's done by brute force, which they would typically use a dictionary algorithm, or bring down a server by the ping of death. So as you can see, there's multiple ways, SQL injections as well. Maybe some of those terms you've heard of before. All right, so what is malware? Let's define malware first of all. So you've heard of viruses and Trojans and botnets and worms and things like that, right? So Trojans, basically, it's a type of malware that looks like a legitimate program. Viruses, just like worms, viruses, they can make copies of themselves. They spread from one computer to another, obviously infecting each system as they travel, and they damage data and software. So what we basically do is we want to list all these types of categories, all this stuff, and we put them into a category known as malware. So malware, what is it, right? So it's a snippet of code. It's meant to damage, disable, take control of, and of course steal information, and that's the goal here. So the question is, have you ever seen a piece of malware? Well, if you haven't, here it is. This is a computer-generated image of what a worm looks like. And actually what you're seeing here, if you actually see the tips of these, each tip represents a piece of malware. And the way they actually connect each other is through the legs. So I actually refer to this as the worm's family tree, if you will. I've got another image of malware too. This is called MyDoom. And it's actually reported to be the second most damaging worm ever released. MyDoom can be transmitted through email, and it can arrive in an email address with a spoof sender address with subject lines like test, hi, mail delivery system, and so forth. So I'm pretty sure everyone on this call probably has been affected by this type of malware before. And this one here, the storm worm Trojan, it continues to search. This Trojan, again, it uses a variety of methods of social engineering, which lures to trick Windows users into downloading malware. And then, of course, it successfully seeds a massive botnet between, I think we're up to like 1 million to 10 million CPUs. So, again, probably one of the largest botnets in the world here. All right, so a cyber attack might use one or a combination of attacks. So in this example, a drive-by download, if you're not familiar with it, it's a technique that places malicious executable files on a user's computer, obviously without the user's knowledge. Just by visiting a legitimate website, like a CNN.com, you can actually still be compromised. And most people think that you have to click on a link in order to download something. In fact, the drive-by download is not the case. So if you're familiar with certain sites that have those advertisements on the side menu, we call them malvertisements, because what's actually happening is these malvertisements are actually being sold to third parties, and then those servers are being compromised. So again, just by going to a legitimate site, you can actually still be compromised. Okay, so let's talk about zero day. And I want to talk about this just for a second, since a lot of people don't understand exactly what this means. And this is defined as never been seen before by any antivirus companies out there. There's no signatures written for it to capture or quarantine it. And it normally takes these antivirus companies 24 to about 78 hours for antivirus companies to actually write a signature for a new virus. But just because they do doesn't mean you're protected. Obviously, you need to do updates on your own system. And just FYI, guys, this is why it's so important to do those updates. And I'm even talking about the Microsoft patches. Extremely important to always do those updates. There's a reason for those. All right. So what I want to do now is I want to jump into the 5 phases of hacking. And there is a method, believe it or not, that all good, quote, put them in quote, good black hats, right? Obviously, the black hats are the bad guys here. But in order for a black hat to be successful, they actually need to follow these phases, these 5 phases of hacking. They don't just randomly find any target and attempt to compromise them. This is actually a business. Make no mistake about it. Even hackers have to make a monthly quota, all right? So again, this is a legitimate business. So we'll start off with reconnaissance. So for reconnaissance, and listen, the reason why I want to explain this to you is because, our offering covers all of this. In our security, we call them rules-based correlations. All of this is covered. So that's why I want to give you this information. It's just not, information. It's information, useful information that we use here at BlackStratus to actually make this offering, which I'm going to show you in a bit. So again, reconnaissance. So attackers are going to generally try and find information about people who work for the organization. And as you know, social media, it's a key resource to an attacker. Obviously, you can find out who works at a company on LinkedIn. You can look that person up in Facebook, find out their personal interest. Individuals, and they have all sorts of information about themselves on the internet. So the attacker gathers this information. What they're going to do is they're actually going to create a profile of you or the company. They're going to use emails, handles, LinkedIn accounts. Again, they want to use information to reach out and contact their target. And I'm even talking about social engineering. That also plays a part in this as well. You know, maybe you've received that phone call from Microsoft, right, saying, hey, you need to get to your computer because it's got a virus on it and we need to walk you through and help out and so forth. So again, all part of those scams. So we move into our second phase, and this is called scanning. And this is going to include computer names, IP addresses, user accounts, port scanners, sweepers, as well as network mappers. And again, the goal here is for hackers to find any information that can help them. And our phase 3 is gaining access. And this is really where the real hacking takes place. In other words, vulnerabilities discovered during phase 1 and 2, they're really put to the test. This is now going to become the method of connecting. And it could be through buffer overflow. It could be through session hijacking. So I want to kind of explain this to you. So once a machine is exploited, the attacker needs to infect it. And to do this, an attacker needs to deliver a dropper. We call it a dropper or a downloader. Obviously, the purpose is to install additional malware. And I want you to understand how this works, because a lot of people don't actually understand the life cycle of malware. Because just because a malicious file got through doesn't mean it's ready to launch. It actually has to go through specific parameters it needs to meet before it reaches. And it could mean a secondary reboot. It could mean a launch of Internet Explorer version 9. There's different types of exploits out there: PDF, Flash, or even Java. So now once that criteria has been met, that's when it's going to be installed. And this install code is actually called a payload. And once that payload is delivered, the attacker begins gaining the information they really want. And this is when it actually beacons back out to CNC, command and control, right? And this is obviously usually when data exfiltration is occurring at this point. And the most important stage of APT, Advanced Persistent Threat, is the data exfiltration stage, right? In this stage, they're stealing the data that they actually are after. And once this is accomplished, what are they going to do here? They're now going to try to move laterally to see what other information they can gain access to. So the attacker may steal data for a variety of reasons. And I get this question all the time. Why are these hackers doing this? What's the purpose, right? So sometimes it's they're setting out to damage a company, right? Like hacktivism, also known as internet activism. And it's carried out by groups like Anonymous, which I'm sure you've probably heard by now in the news. Other attackers steal information for extortion. We've seen that plenty of times. So in other words, they're stealing proprietary information to sell to a competitor. This is actually very common in a nation-state APT attack for some type of industrial espionage. And I'm going to move over into our phase 4 here, maintaining access. So the need to maintain access from security personnel by securing backdoors, these are better known as rootkits, and I'm sure some of you might be familiar with that term. And the next stage during this attack is often that credential theft. Now, I don't know about you, but this is certainly the first set of information I want to steal as a hacker, right? I'm gaining access in, and I want to be an administrator. I want full control. I refer to this as having the keys to the kingdom. Obviously, when you're an admin, you've got full control. And you know, the point here to maintain persistence in this compromised network, the attacker, they're going to steal any kind of credentials, whether it's email credentials, AD, right, Active Directory login credentials, FTP credentials, and so on. I think you see the point here. And the attacker, they're going to use these credentials, and they're going to burrow deeper into the network to find the information they really want. So the attacker may use other strategies like only working inside certain hours. This is another piece of information a lot of people don't quite understand. So an example, they might know that a specific bank shuts down at 8 p.m. and nobody comes in at 5 a.m. Well, the attacker will only work during these off hours. During regular hours, when people would be paying attention, nothing suspicious is happening on the network. And you know, in order to maintain access, hackers are going to constantly update their tools as well. They're going to work during these off hours, you know, low, slow, under the radar, that type. Then we move into our phase 5. Phase 5 is covering up tracks, right? So one example would be to remove log files. So whenever I do an investigation, I always look at log files, and it amazes me because most people ignore or they even delete them, not thinking of the forensics value they actually contained. This is why we're here. This is why BlackStratus is here, because we actually believe in looking at these event logs, looking at these system logs. They hold a lot of forensics value, and they tell a bigger picture. So basically what I'm doing here is when I'm looking at these event logs and so forth, it's actually going to tell me the type of hacker I'm dealing with. So an example, if we start seeing some of these log files are deleted, then I know I'm dealing with basically somebody, as we refer to as a script kiddie. A script kiddie hacker is a wannabe hacker. But if we're looking at these log files, and let's say these IP addresses are changed within those files, then I know it's a hacker with a little more experience. And I just want to show you what you're looking at here. Basically, I want to show you once a hacker breaches an end user, they're going to attempt to drop a file within the System32 directory, as you can see. All right. And if you know anything about Windows directory, you should know that the System32 directory is not a directory to be accessed by anyone. In fact, it should be it should be off limits to all users. And in this case, the hacker has dropped a backup sys executable file in a DLL cached directory. This is a dynamic link library, by the way, DLL, not familiar with it. So on number 2, what's he doing here? He's attempting to change date. This is where I find things interesting. He's changing this date for a reason. And then we move down to number 3. As you can see, he's now in the registry. He's adding a value in the run hive, and anything in the run hive will now survive a reboot. And by the way, this is a great place to hide malware. And just that side note for everybody, in order for malware to survive a reboot, it needs to be in the registry, and this is how it's done. And then on number 4, he's setting a value, and he's adding the path that points back to where he dropped his backup sys executable, as you can see right here, Windows backup sys executable. So the question here now is why and what does this do for the hacker, all right? And basically what's happening is he's ensuring if he's detected, he can actually re-image the system to go back to the date and time that he's created in order to ensure the data he wants will still be preserved. Remember, like I said, keys to the kingdom, he's got everything here. So as you're aware, the costs associated with breaches can potentially not only ruin a company's reputation, i.e. RSA, remember them? And their breach actually cost them well over $100 million. But of course, loss of customers, potential future customers, and even in some cases, the smaller ones, the risk of foreclosure. Obviously, you know, these are all the potentials that could damage a company. All right, so meet CyberShark, and this is what we're here about. CyberShark is specifically and purposely built from the ground up for MSPs. And just so you know, this is done in real time, in memory, and not database dependent. We not only integrate with Autotask, but we provide remediation and or containment steps that include the supporting evidence along with it. There's no hardware on-prem or software to install. We simply deliver a 1 meg MSI package that gets installed on a one Windows server. Again, one Windows server only, all right? And it doesn't leave any footprint or cause any type of bottleneck on the network. And as you can see, you can white label this as well. So our CyberSOC team provides 24/7 follow the sun support, and we actually subscribe to various watch groups, some of them being Zeus, Spamhaus, Shadow Server, DShield, as well as Proofpoint. So as you can see, we're paying for threat intelligence, and you know, they're updated nightly, so we know where the bad actors are on the internet. So what are we doing here is we also follow chain of custody, and this is basically time stamping and hashing these event logs, which is critical when it comes to an investigation. We actually give it the MD5 hash, that message digest 5 hash algorithm. So again, if there's an investigation, you know, you can prove in a court of law or the council that these files have not been tampered with because, again, they've been hashed. In regards to our advanced security platform, we provide historical statistical, vulnerability, and then our rules-based portal engine, which has the capability to detect the unknowns, to detect the suspicious in those anomalies. So we're actually watching for patterns and things like that. Even like the ones found in ransomware, right? There's patterns, there's IP addresses of patterns that are detectable by us. So our CyberShark offering, as you can see, again, as I mentioned before, is white labeled. There's no additional hardware expense or the need to hire a security analyst. We do the heavy lifting for you. That's what we're here for. We make you look like the heroes, right? That's the whole thing here. We provide our SOC team support around the clock at affordable price. As this slide indicates, we can also provide you various compliance reports, HIPAA, PCI, as you can see right down here. And we can also schedule these reports to be delivered to you, right? So the compliance reports, these reports, they'll be shipped out to you monthly. They're also going to show specific regulations that need to be met in order to be in compliance. So think about that for a second. Imagine being able to go to your customer and saying, hey, customer, in order to be PCI compliance, here's the regulation that this specific compliance report falls under that you need to be able to meet, okay? Otherwise, there's fines associated with this, and that's a whole other discussion. So I just kind of want to give you a broad overview of what we're doing here, right? We're receiving your system logs, those event logs, we're encrypting them, we're sending them to the cloud. They get hashed. They get then sent over to our advanced security platform where our CyberSOC team has eyes on the data 24/7. If an alert is triggered, the investigation begins and you'll be notified with remediation and or containment steps. And of course, if you use an Autotask, these alerts will be sent directly to your Autotask queue. So with our CyberShark special offer today, you're going to receive 30-day free trial where we in turn will monitor your network. You're going to have access to the CyberShark web portal so you'll see your own security posture. Again, with the ability to run these reports that I talked about. And I always like to end my presentation by saying, please remember, spread love, not malware, because cybersecurity is a necessity. It's not a choice. And my last slide, I've got my contact information. Oh, okay. Well, I thought it was there. Rebecca?
That's okay, Jeffrey. We're gonna show that right at the end, so perfect. Don't worry.
Well, again, thanks for your time today. It's a pleasure to speak on what I believe to be an important topic in helping others not only stay secure, but also helping them understand the challenges that we face today. So again, I thank you for your time.
And thank you very much to you, Jeffrey. That's a really, really interesting presentation. I don't know if you guys say this in the US, but as a Brit, we say, you've really put the willies up me with all these scary pictures of viruses and what malware actually looks like. Yeah, super interesting. So thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.
So we're going to move on now. I'm going to pass the ball over to Len. Like I said at the beginning, I'm sure he's going to introduce himself in a bit more detail. Len's our SVP of Channel Development. And then he's going to talk about Autotask Unified Platform and how you can keep your clients safe and secure. Len, I'm going to pass the ball to you now.
That's wonderful, Rebecca. And I think you said something like the willies, and I have to tell you, Jeffrey, I don't know how you kind of aligned the viruses with those pictures, but I sure would hate to have those things crawling around my computer, let alone in my body. That was definitely eye-opening, and I think what concerns me more than anything is, I certainly always felt, don't click on links, don't hit a website and click somewhere that you really don't know about, and it sounds like you just have to be prepared to get hit, even if you don't click anything. That's even a little more scary. So thanks for that topic, and I know our service provider customers and prospects out there are definitely going to have to think long and hard about how they secure their clients' platforms. It is one of the things I believe every service provider needs to deal with. You can't just put antivirus out there anymore. You really have to keep your clients safe and secure using many different types of solutions. And I'm going to share a little bit about the Autotask Unified Platform and how we can help keep your clients secure. And I guess I'm trying to move here, Rebecca.
Yeah, we just had not a question, a comment come through, Len, as well, that your audio is very quiet. I don't know if there's anything you can do about that.
Yeah, that's unusual. I'm usually pretty loud. I'll put this microphone a little closer. Can you hear it, Rebecca?
That's already better. I'll wait for the guy who pinged us to confirm.
That's fantastic. So the Autotask Unified Platform really takes our PSA and RMM and makes them work very closely together to help you secure and manage all your endpoints. We did a survey. Actually, we do a survey every year, Metrics That Matter. And the number one concern for your end clients, as the over 1,300 respondents said, was endpoint security. So we talk about our unified platform as being able to help you secure and manage your client's infrastructure. And it all starts with the Autotask Professional Service Automation Platform. And Jeffrey mentioned an integration with Autotask, and this is where that integration happens. So as the CyberShark platform discovers an anomaly or an issue and opens a ticket, it will open that ticket here in the Autotask PSA platform in the service desk and deposit that ticket in a queue. And you can see the mobile screen here. That ticket will show up on your mobile device. It kicks off a bunch of workflow rules that will let you know what's going on as the service provider, perhaps assign a technician, assign a service call to a tech, and get you ready to work and resolve that issue and see all the notes in the ticket, and it all integrates right here with the Autotask PSA, which unifies your people, the devices you manage, and the data that comes along with those devices that you're managing. And Autotask Endpoint Management is that great endpoint management tool that sits on everyone's desktop, monitors that desktop, again, for any performance issues, memory issues, gives you the opportunity to take a look at those key files that Jeffrey was mentioning and see that everything's okay. Take remote control of a computer, and you want to have Autotask Endpoint Management combined with Autotask PSA, because that's where the unified platform really hums and gives you that opportunity to see a single pane of glass. So as a business owner, you're going to see the financial side. Our PSA does have a CRM, opportunity management, billing, as well as that service desk component, project management, and a ton of other features and functions. And when that Autotask Endpoint Management solution is joined at the hip with PSA, now you can see all those devices being managed, single click off a ticket, take control of a desktop, and really run the business not only as an owner, as an engineer, manage your client base, as any billable resource, see what's going on out there in the client base that you're managing, and truly an opportunity to see across all these dashboards, all key components of the business. These role-based dashboards can be built for the service manager, the sales leader, the owner, but it also can show analytics. And here you see an AEM or Endpoint Management Analytics dashboard looking at your top 10 clients with disk space issues, warranty expirations this month, really highlighting opportunities in your client base to upsell and go on in, perhaps add memory, upgrade from Windows XP, any kind of dashboard you can create. These widgets are totally customizable. We've got customers out there with hundreds of widgets configured, and really now I can't even run my own business here at Autotask without using these widgets to see what's going on. And a single click, you can drill down into any of these charts and graphs. And unified is more efficient. Again, you can run the business from those unified dashboards. You can execute your role better, see data across the business, and automate and optimize key business processes. And you just saw from BlackStratus and CyberShark, that integration really optimizes the process of identifying a security leak, a security issue, putting it into a ticket, and getting you to act, record your time and expense for resolving that issue, and getting that information out to your client. And it's way more efficient, as we have many of our customers are telling us they save over 1 billable hour per day when using the Autotask Unified Platform. and most of it has to do with the fact that tax or billable resources can do most of what they need to do from the PSA ticket. And in fact, with Autotask Endpoint Management, a lot of those incidents self-heal proactively. So in addition to the work BlackStratus is doing with CyberShark, with the SOC, working and monitoring your clients' networks, Autotask Endpoint Management will take those infrastructure-type incidents and proactively self-heal through scripts, giving you that opportunity to respond quicker through automation or even with your resources. And not only is it about the ticket, but once you collect that time, once you're supporting devices and sign up a managed service client or any type of client under support, you can define that contract in Autotask, define the devices covered, the resources covered, have that contract clarity, and ultimately never service a device that's not under contract again, because with AEM, Endpoint Management, discovering every device, tying it to a contract, and then discovering new devices as they are added or pop up on the network, you'll never again support a device that's not under contract unless you want to. And we don't stop there with our unified platform. We like to say we help you unify from beginning to endpoint, and the reason we can talk about that is we do now have a great file and folder backup solution. It is a great way to avoid some of the more basic security hacks because you can back up your local desktop, you can back up your server. A nice, simple file backup solution, Autotask Endpoint Backup, that is easily deployed with Autotask Endpoint Management, easily integrated with the PSA platform as well, with tickets, identifying backups that failed, strip costs and overhead for this highly commoditized service. You may say you're already doing backup, but certainly if you're an Autotask customer, if you're an Endpoint Management customer, taking a look at Autotask Endpoint Backup is going to really remove the complexity behind deploying backup and help automate the backup process for all the documents and files out at all your endpoints. Typically, you're putting stuff on a server, making your clients put stuff on a server, but you know most folks, especially C-level, putting stuff in their local drive, thinking they're keeping it secure, and they're not putting it on the server, and it's not being backed up. So take a look at Autotask Endpoint Backup. It's a great way to recover data that perhaps is compromised through a hack, and more importantly, if that data is backed up and perhaps there is some compromise there, we've got Autotask Workplace, which is our secure file sync and share solution, enterprise-grade security built in. We have had many of our AWP partners tell us that by installing Autotask Workplace on their client endpoints, on their client servers, that those clients, when hit by a ransomware CryptoLocker type virus, they can simply go roll back to the previous version because Autotask Workplace has versioning built in, will keep versions for 6 months, and you could immediately roll back to a previous version, never have to pay a ransom again to get access to your data. One of the key benefits of Autotask Workplace, along with the fact that you get Autotask Workplace Manager to provision and manage your clients. You can help them deploy Autotask Workplace, take their data from their local hard drive on a machine. Those executives put that data in the cloud, remove VPN and FTP access issues, minimize those tickets that come from calls when those solutions don't work, put it up in the cloud. They can access it with any of their approved devices. They don't have to put stuff on the server. They can secure data and share it with who they want. And of course, taking that server, putting it up in the cloud, it's a great way to take servers and back them up in the cloud, but also provide access, again, removing VPN and FTP type requirement. We have a great partner program that comes with a partner playbook and a bunch of tools to help you drive revenue and sell the solution into your client base. Definitely contact me if you want to hear more about our file sync and share solution. But a couple of great ways that Autotask solutions working in conjunction, certainly with CyberShark, can help you secure your client base, secure your endpoints, and really make yourself look like that trusted advisor you are. And a couple of partners have told us how easy it is to work with our unified platform. Here you see Richard Thompson from Central told us that he deployed over 4,000 endpoints in a single day from our unified platform, dropping his endpoint management agents out there and getting himself up and running. Here, Mika Thor from Tech Guru says he's going to be saving more than 20 hours a month for his technicians. It's automated, and their enhancement to customer experience will help increase customer retention and grow profitably. So take a look at Autotask, take a look at CyberShark. Certainly Autotask, we are simple. Our unified platform, as you saw, can be deployed in a day, 4,000 endpoints. We're scalable. We've built from the ground up in the cloud since 2001. We are in the cloud 100%. We're not a fat client. You do not need any software installed on your machine to run. You just need a browser of choice, and you can access any of our offerings. And we've got a 4 nines uptime. We certainly warrant 3 nines. We know how important it is to be up in the cloud, and that's what we strive to do. So take a look at Autotask. It's time to unify, no doubt about it. You can call your account manager if you're an Autotask customer to learn more, or just email sales@autotask.com, and we'll let you know how you can help secure your client base with Autotask solutions, and certainly get you in contact with CyberShark. Visit our website. We just launched a brand new website. I'd love to get your feedback as well. It really shows beautifully, so take a look. A lot of work to get it there. And again, always like to congratulate, as Jeffrey likes to do. I always like to congratulate you for taking the time out of your busy work days to jump in on a webinar and work on your business and not in it. Hope to see you out there soon, and back to you, Rebecca.